Good morning, everyone. Today, we will take a look at the Grant Management Workbook. I will show you how to navigate between this tab here to submit your reporting and invoice request. The first two tabs are the Project Management Plan tab and Milestone Activity Schedule tab. These two here in gray. These two tabs will be completed with the project manager as part of the onboarding process. So let's take a look at the first tab, the Project Management Plan tab. This is an overview of the grant project. It includes the scope statement, the project milestone, PCEF grant budget, and other PCEF grant budget down here, but also the payment, reporting, verification, project communication plan. Again, this will be completed with the project manager. The next tab is the milestone activity schedule tab. This one right here. This tab captures the detail about the project completion. Right here, all the detail, milestone description, activity description. The project manager will assist you to complete this as part of the onboarding process as well. One thing to note here is this section here on the right top corner here. This is the log of approved update to milestone and activity. During the course of the grant period, if you need to make changes to the milestone or activities, you should talk to your project manager and make sure to record those changes right here. So those changes that are approved by the project manager need to be recorded here, the description and the date. The next tab is the invoice template. The invoice template has 3 steps. As you can see here on the top, we have the payment documentation list, personnel payment information, and PCEF invoice. We recommend you to follow the direction for each step to complete your invoice. But first, let's take a look at the payment document list. Please enter all the items that you want to include in your invoice. You can use this drop-down menu here to select the item that best match what you want to include in your payment document list. You fill the rest of the information, and then here there'll be also another drop-down that you can use to select what type of document this one is. You have this information, the date of expense, and then also the amount paid with grant fund. Each entry on this list should correspond to a document attachment that you submit with your invoice, unless no documentation is required for that item. There are a couple things to keep in mind here. You should look at your budget line item to ensure you have enough funds in each line item to accommodate your invoice needs. If you will exceed the funding amount for the budget line item, you should speak with your project manager. Also, as part of processing the invoice, project managers will be reviewing this tab and the information in the payment document list and checking it against the attachment. They'll be checking it against the attached payment document. Project manager will contact you if they have any questions. So if anything seems unclear, they'll reach out to you so you can provide any detail that's needed. The next step is the personnel payment information. When you get here, I recommend you to follow this link here to go ahead and complete the workforce and contractor detail tab first. So you will click here. It will take you to the workforce and contractor detail tab. So you will need to complete this tab when you start using your new reporting sheet. But in the future, you will be able to use the drop-down menu I showed you earlier here in the template, in the invoice template, to auto-populate certain information. So the most important detail to remember here is that you should not fill this out each quarter, but it should save you time in the future. And the way to use this workforce and contractor detail, when you come here, you have this navigation link. You click, it takes you to the appropriate section, and in that section you can fill out all the information that's needed. And then once you are done, then you will go back to your invoice template and complete the personnel and payment detail. One thing to keep in mind here, PCEF has wage requirement for all staff time that's paid for PCEF grant funding. Please list all staff that work on this project and were paid using PCEF grant. This information must match the detail provided in the payroll documentation. Please provide as many details as possible. So when you come back after completing your workforce and contractor detail, you come back here. The drop-down menu here should help you to select the name of the staff or ID, and then that will auto-populate the position title. Then you will fill out the rest of the information here. So the next step, once this is done, the next step will be to complete the PCEF invoice. But for the PCEF invoice, all you need to do is fill out the top right corner here in yellow. So keep in mind, when you start filling out this information right here, I'm going to highlight this, the cell will turn white. So for example, let's say our invoice number is 123456. So see that cell turn white. And then down here, the dollar amount for every line item category here will auto-populate, so you don't have to worry about this part. But back here at the top, one thing to keep in mind, the period of performance date to start and to end are important, because the date on the payment document need to fall within that time period. If you have any payment document that are dated outside of this time frame here, please contact your project manager. Again, if you have any payment document that are dated outside of the period of performance, you should contact your project manager. Once this is done, you can then move on to the next step, which is the quarterly project report tab, this one here. Before the project manager sends you the workbook, they will remove anything that are not related to your project. So see up here, we have project activity, renewable energy, and so forth. So they'll remove anything that is not related to your project. So you will only see areas that are specific to your project. And the way to use this tab here, of course, you have to read this information here on the top right here. So then you will click, for example, if you want to go to energy efficiency, you will click here. It will take you to energy efficiency. Once you get here, you'll fill this out. And then to go back to the top, you'll click right here. It'll take you back to the top. But there are a couple things to keep in mind here. Please read the direction at the top of each section carefully. So if you go again, we go back, energy efficiency, see the direction are here. Please read this carefully before filling out this section. The reporting period date should match the reporting period date you included in your invoice tab. So all the dates that you will put here for your report, as far as the reporting date, you have to make sure they match this date here. So they cannot be outside of this date range. If they're outside, you need to talk to your project manager. Back here. Another thing to keep in mind, you should only be including information for work that took place during the period of performance for which you are reporting. If you have any question, please contact your PCEF project manager. And then the next tab will be the workforce and contractor detail. Again, remember, you have already filled out this tab. You can skip it. You can skip this tab here unless there has been a change to the information for your staff. If there is no change, you can just skip and go to the final report. This tab, which is the final report, need to be filled out only once. So each quarter you won't have to worry about this. This is only required for the final quarter at the end of your grant agreement period as part of the final closeout of your grant. Again, I'll repeat. This final report tab is only required for the final quarter at the end of your grant management period as part of the final closeout of your grant. So once you fill out this part here, and again, you are always welcome to reach out to your project manager if any information here is not clear. But the instructions are here on the top. You can read the instruction and complete this. And then we have this optional submission checklist. So again, this is optional. You can use this as a helpful guidance document. It's not required. It's optional only to help you as you are completing your report and invoice request. So now we are at the end. You might be wondering, where can I submit my report? That information will be provided to you by your project manager. They will indicate where you should submit this report. And thank you. I hope this video was helpful.